Getting your net worth to 100K isn't easy, but it is one of the best ways to guarantee financial freedom if you're able to achieve it. So in this video, my AI assistant Tiara and I are going to break down the psychological and economic changes that make growing your wealth easier once you've built an account with that first 100K. I'll also reveal the most common barrier that many people face at this stage, which if not addressed, could crush your financial progress significantly. So Tiara, I keep saying Tiara, where do you think we should start with this one?
Let's go with the significance of the $100,000 milestone.
Perfect. Let's just dive right into it then. So hitting $100,000 in net worth is significant for several different reasons. So first is that it's proof that you've mastered the basics of saving and investing. Getting to 100K, it requires discipline, consistency, and smart financial decisions. At this point, you've likely developed good habits like living below your means, avoiding high interest debt, and regularly investing. Unless you fall into a bunch of money, these same habits are exactly what it'll take for you to get from $100,000 to $1 million in net worth. Second, 100K is where the power of compound interest really starts to kick in. So at this point, your money begins to work harder for you. So for example, a 7% return on $10,000 is $700. But on $100,000, it's $7,000, which is a much more noticeable boost to your wealth, especially when you extrapolate that over many different years. And third, reaching this milestone often leads to a pretty big psychological shift.
100,000 and you think you're a financial genius? Please.
Okay, so I know you don't really understand finances, Tiara, or money, if you will, but that is actually kind of a big deal, so relax. All right, sorry, but like I was saying, it leads to a psychological shift and breaks down mental barriers and limiting beliefs about money. So for many, seeing that six-figure number in their bank account is incredibly motivating and really builds their confidence in their own financial abilities. As it should, because it's definitely not an easy thing to do. So in this next section, I'm going to help you discover, Tiara, you want to take this?
We'll explain why compound interest is your new best friend.
Yeah, so in fact, I'd argue that compound interest is actually the main reason why you can become a millionaire if you stay smart.
Don't give me hope.
So compound interest is the principle that allows your money to really grow faster over time by earning interest, not just on your initial investment, but also on the interest that it accumulates, which really kind of creates a snowball effect where your wealth can really start to accelerate dramatically. But in this, Peyton, lay down, lay down, lay down, lay down. So here's a quick example. When you have $100,000 invested at an average annual return of 10%, you're not just earning interest on that initial amount. So in the first year, you'd earn $10,000 in interest. But in the second year, you earn interest on $110,000, which is your original 100K plus the $10,000 that you earned the year before, which means your interest for that year would be $11,000. And this cycle continues, and over time, the amount of interest that you earn each year grows larger and larger because you're earning on a bigger base. To put this into perspective, consider two hypothetical investors. Investor A starts with $10,000 and earns a consistent 10% return, while investor B starts with $100,000 but also earns that same 10%. It would take investor A about 25 years to reach that $100,000 milestone. But once investor B begins, they only need just over 7 years to accumulate their next $100,000. And this illustrates how compound interest accelerates growth as your principal increases. Additionally, the psychological aspect plays a role here too. So Tiara, you want to introduce the next section here?
Hitting $100,000 in your bank account has profound psychological effects.
Yeah, and she's absolutely right. Tiara, you're 100% correct. So hitting a $100,000 net worth is like breaking through a mental barrier. It's a transformative moment that can change your financial mindset and your behaviors entirely. And here's how that really works. So first off, you're going to have increased confidence. So reaching $100,000 is proof that you can achieve significant financial goals. And this boost in confidence often translates into better financial decisions, making a willingness to take on new challenges and try new investment options, which could lead to greater returns. And this is a big thing to understand because when you hit that $100,000, now you can take those risks that maybe you weren't willing to take before Because at the end of the day, if you throw 5,000 into something and it, completely misses, you might lose some of it. But if you throw something, $5,000 into something and it does really, really well, then obviously you're going to see a whole new investment opportunity there. And you may expand on that and, like I said, grow your returns. Second is that there's a shift from scarcity to abundance. So many people operate with a scarcity mindset when it comes to money. Hitting $100,000 can really flip that script because it helps you see opportunities rather than limitations. Third is your long-term thinking. So with $100,000 under your belt, you're more likely to think long-term and think in the future. This might mean considering bigger investments, planning for retirement early, or exploring ways to create generational wealth as well. And fourth, which is my favorite thing, is reduced financial stress. So while 100K doesn't necessarily solve all your money problems, it provides a significant safety net. And this can lead to reduced financial anxiety and better overall well-being. So understanding this psychological shift is crucial because it can accelerate your wealth building journey even further than where it currently is. But here's that $1 million question. Tiara?
How do you actually get to that magical $100,000 mark?
Exactly. So in the next section here, we'll actually explore practical strategies to help you figure that out. So first up, let's talk about budgeting. Now I know it's boring, but it is a requirement, right? So creating and sticking to a budget is really like having a roadmap for your money. It helps you understand where every dollar is going and where you can make cuts. Now I always recommend, or most commonly recommend, the 50-30-20 rule, which means 50% of your income for needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for savings and debt repayment. But here's the thing, budgeting alone, it won't get you to 100K, right? You've got to increase your income too. So first thing I'd say is to consider asking for a raise at work. Now you may not know this, but people who negotiate their salary typically earn an average of $5,000 more per year. And that's a potential of $25,000 over 5 years, which can significantly speed up your journey to 100K. And don't just stop there either. So side hustles, they can be a big game changer. Whether it's, freelancing, selling items online, driving for rideshare services like Uber, that extra income, it can really add up fast. Plus, it diversifies your income streams, which is always a smart move. Next, let's talk a little bit about investing. So this is where the magic really happens. So if you're not already maxing out your 401k or IRA, start there. The tax benefits alone really make these accounts worth it, but don't just contribute. Make sure that your money is, actually working hard for you within those accounts. A diversified portfolio of low-cost index funds can really be a great way to capture market returns over the long term with limited risk. And remember, consistency with this is key. So it's not about making huge leaps, but what you want is steady progress. Even small increases in your savings rate can make a big difference over time. So do your best to cut back on expenses and try to earn a little bit more money to make faster progress.
Hey, Ron, what about that common barrier you mentioned in the intro?
Yes, sorry, Tiara, thank you. So in the intro, I mentioned that I'd reveal the most common barrier that many people face once they hit $100,000 net worth that could really crush their financial progress. And it's definitely something that you want to avoid. And that barrier is lifestyle inflation.
Lifestyle inflation, because humans love turning money into more stuff they don't need.
I'm sorry, but Tiara, she's not wrong on that one, right? We all have a tendency to do this, I think, right? But what exactly is lifestyle inflation? Well, it's that tempting urge to upgrade your lifestyle as soon as your paycheck gets bigger or your net worth really hits a new milestone. Something like trading in a perfectly good car for a luxury SUV. That's a great example. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with enjoying the fruits of your labor. But here's the thing to know. So if you let your spending rise at the same rate as your income or your wealth is rising, you're basically canceling everything out. And the real danger here is that lifestyle inflation can create kind of a false sense of security, right? You might feel like you're doing great because you can afford more stuff, but in reality, you could be just as financially vulnerable as before, and maybe even more so if you've increased your bills because it only takes one big life event like losing your job to fall behind. Wow. So how can you fight the temptation? Well, first, keep and stick to your budget at all times. Remember, I just talked about it, 50-30-20. It's a great way to manage your money, especially when it scales up because it will scale with you, which is nice. Second, when you get a raise or come into some money, challenge yourself to save a bigger chunk of it. If you maintain your lifestyle and contribute more to your future self, it's never going to be a bad move. Third, before you make a big purchase, require that you sit and think about it for a week or so. Just take some time to ask yourself if it'll really make you happier in the long run, or are you just, kind of getting caught up in the moment? These big purchases, like a car, are what can really derail the entire plan, so you need to spend more time thinking before acting. And remember, the goal isn't to deprive yourself of living here. It's really about finding that sweet spot where you can enjoy life now while also still setting yourself up for an even better future. By keeping this lifestyle inflation in check, you're making sure that the 100K milestone becomes a launch pad for your future and not a plateau. So this video got me thinking, since I assume that you're trying to grow your net worth to $100,000, I actually have another video that I think that you'll really enjoy that kind of puts the power of investing and savings into perspective, which is where I actually dissected what happens when you invest $5 per day for 5 years. And you can watch that right over here. And if that doesn't sound like it's for you, no problem. You can go ahead and check out this video right here instead. But before you go, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you unlock financial success one AI chat at a time. Thanks so much for watching.